This is Things Police See, First-Hand Accounts, with your host, Steve Gould.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast that interviews active and retired police officers about their most intense, bizarre, and sometimes humorous moments on the job. I'm your host, Steve Gould. Thank you for joining us, everybody. This is going to be episode number 92, if you can believe it or not. Big shout out, big thanks to our past sponsor, Hero Industries out of Corona, California. Appreciated that. That spot's open right now, guys. I don't do a whole lot of ad space, but if you want to sponsor the show, thingspolicec.com. Reach out to me, and I will gladly take your money. I don't know if you know this, but most companies that sponsor the show end up Fortune 500, and then they can just retire from their lives. So that's not confirmable, but I'm pretty sure it's true. So if you want to give me some money and quit your day job, let's do it. thingspolicec.com. Reach out. So I want to upfront say, go to Things Police See, at Things Police See on Instagram. I never plug this stuff, and I get ragged on all the time. The Instagram account's at Things Police See. The Facebook group is just Things Police See on Facebook. And then, of course, thingspolicec.com. I'm sorry to put this in your face up front. Usually you want value before you give an ask. Those are the rules, but I'm going to forget. So those are the accounts that I have linked to the account. You can always email me at steve@thingspolicec.com, or you can go to the website, scroll down, and click the email. Also, if you want to be a guest, always looking for guests, guys. It doesn't matter your town, big or small. People love to hear cop talk. I love to hear cop talk. I love to record it and then put it out to the masses. So you can go to the webpage, scroll down, click on guest, and quick spiel, one line for each story, whatever. Just have a few stories. Like if you're on 2 years or 30, that's fine. But have some stories so we don't do a whole thing when we record it and then, we go, oh, what happened there? I've had people in the past. I actually had a guy once. I was back when I was with Ken. We were recording, and like halfway through the recording, Ken sent me an article about this guy had been charged with all these felonies, and he was no longer a cop, and he was like, kind of a bad guy. And so during the interview, Ken's like, give me the eyeball. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we asked him point blank, and he denied it, but we ended up not publishing the podcast because very sketchy. So that goes to show you, pretty much take anybody on the show if you just send me a message. Come on. I do a light background now because of that experience, but love to have you, or your dad, your grandfather, your mom, your stepmom, whoever was a cop and has stories. Let me know. What else did I have for you? I should thank the sponsors, the people that keep the lights on here. Always donating monthly. Let's get the soundbite. There we go. Let's give it up for Tony Fahey, Jacob Ruth, Rich Emery, William James Long, Deputy Sheriff, recently graduated. Congratulations, Samantha Harper, Samantha East, the great Gary Steiner, Richard Wilson, Scott O'Donnell, David Diaz, Timothy Wright. I love you guys. I'm in love with you guys. Like I said before, every month I watch the bills come in for Adobe and my website and all this other stuff, and they go out paid because you guys give me that little bit of scratch. Truly appreciate it. So if you love the show, you really like it, and you enjoyed all the 80 plus hours of content, become a monthly subscriber. I truly appreciate it. And I'll read your name to some groovy tunes. So that's your big payday there. Okay, without further ado, I want to get down to episode number 92, Mr. Norman Duchesneau. He comes to us from a southeast Massachusetts city, one of the larger cities, one of the very busy cities. He started his career at a young 19 years old in the cadet program. I believe he was answering phones, very little training. Here's the phone, deal with the emergencies, get it out to the police type of deal. He's active still. He went through patrol, detective. He's been a trainer, sergeant, and currently a lieutenant. LT, the big dog. So we're not gonna name the agency. He is active, but he also has a book out, Necessary Chances, 30 Years of Law Enforcement Stories as Told by a Smartass. Gets great reviews. So I was very excited to get this guy. So without further ado, let's welcome on the LT, Norman. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It's great to have you, brother.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of it.
That's awesome. And you are currently on what shift?
Midnight to 8. 99% of my career, I've been midnight to 8.
Damn, you're an animal. Are you?
Oh.
I did it for 5 years. My dad did it for 15, and I thought I got it in my blood. But when I was done with the 5-year stint, I realized that I didn't. I went back to feeling normal, and I was like, oh, I do feel better now. But it's fine.
Yeah, I actually had to go days for a couple of assignments, and it's like you going nights. My body is just adjusted to it at this point.
You're just good to go.
With the exception of a slight vitamin D deficiency.
Right? That's just a pill you got to take, right?
That's it.
So your wife is cool with that? She's cool with the midnights?
That's well, she met me doing it, so I mean that was the deal when she met me. So she doesn't know any better. She doesn't know any different.
Yeah, it's like the other day I told my wife I'm a little bit pudgy, but was kind of pudgy when you married me, so you can say nothing. I understand. So midnight cop, you're night commander, lieutenant. It's got to be quiet in the house. Is your wife working all day? No kids around?
Yeah. Well, we got married kind of late in life, so we don't have any children. A couple of cats. The wife doesn't work. She just takes care of the house, and
Perfect.
I go out at night and catch bad guys.
Beautiful. Great arrangement. Can you touch on, just because I think it's so interesting, we've got a lot of younger listeners, new modern law enforcement people who go to like the 1,000-hour academies, and they go on all this field training, all these certifications, blah, 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 blah. Not the case in the late 80s. What was it like at 19? What did they tell you? What was the training?
Well, at 19, I was a cadet, not an officer.
Okay.
And let me just back up just a smidgen. I had no idea what I was getting into. Zero. I had just come home from basic training. I joined the National Guard. And when I came home from basic training, my mother had pointed out an article in the newspaper. It says police cadet test. No idea what it is, but hey, I'll go take a test. I did well, and they hired me. Still, no clue what I'm going to be doing. So I show up on day one, and they give me suicide prevention training.
Oh, wow. I got something at least.
Yeah, that basically that boiled down to don't let them do that.
That's bad.
Yeah, suicide bad. That was the test. And then they brought me into the dispatch room. Now this is pre-911, pre-computers, and they handed me a sheet of paper, a stiff, hard stock paper. It was pink. I remember that. It had all the 10 codes on it. You're probably a little young to remember 10 codes. You remember the 45 codes, but
10-4 is all I know.
10-4 is what 10-4 comes from that. Yeah. And then they said, that's a phone. When it rings, somebody's got a problem. Good luck.
Not anxiety inducing at all.
No. I got through it somehow. Thankfully there were other cadets there to kind of help me along, but and then the dispatches, of course, back then dispatches were cops, and it was the older cops,
right?
So nothing grumpier than an old cop,
right? And
that was because we know better. We've seen it all, and we know better than you. Yeah, you're excited about this, kid. Let me tell you something. And
that's perfect person to put the new kid with, the old burnt battle axe type dude.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So and then the other half of that job was being a cell attendant, and we used to house our own prisoners.
Yep.
Who were awaiting arraignment or they were under protective custody. So we had 20 cells, and sometimes we filled them. And you had to make your rounds every 15 minutes and make sure they weren't hanging because, suicide prevention.
Sure.
And
you were trained.
Yeah. I was. I did suicide bad. I still remember. And, then they would throw stuff at you or threaten you or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, I thank God I had just come back from basic training, and I, compared to drill sergeants, these guys weren't nothing.
Yeah, right.
So it was. I think if I had gone before basic training, I wouldn't have made it. It's a very intimidating thing to be thrown into feet first, but here I am 30 something years later.
Yeah. And it's the psychology behind it's not bad either. Cause the military wants 18-year-old males because you're not fully aware of your mortality. It's like if you throw a 35-year-old into that, they'd be like, they'd be so big, go home and think about it, be so bothered. 19-year-old kid, you're walking on clouds. You're never going to die. I'm going to live forever.
Well, so what you're saying is I'm not?
You still got the mentality.
Jump into it feet first every night, dude.
Yep, you'd have to. I know where you work. Absolutely. Norman, can you tell us about your first hot call that you went on as a young patrolman?
Yeah. You send the questions out in the email, so I had to put some thought into this because let's face it, I got 30 something years to remember.
Yeah.
But I was working with another officer. We were both maybe a year on the job, and this call comes in for the next sector of the city about a guy shooting up his girlfriend's house with a shotgun.
Yikes. So
we're heading down there. He's driving. By the way, his nickname was Crash, so already my life was in my hands. And we're whipping down the highway, probably in excessive speeds. And he takes the key off of the key ring, unlocks the shotgun behind him, and hands it to me. And he goes, you got that. Okay. So we get down there, and there's about 5 other police officers besides us. And we're standing in a line like we're at the range. And there's a guy in the middle of the street, and he's got a shotgun. And he had been shooting up his girlfriend's house. The vinyl siding of the house was all peppered with birdshot.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And he's got the shotgun down, pointed at the street by his leg. And we're all trained on him, I got the shotgun out. The canine officer was there. And, we're all yelling. It's that horrible moment where nobody has decided they're going to be in charge. So everybody's yelling.
Yeah.
Drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. And he's not dropping. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got this angle in my mind. If that shotgun comes up beyond that angle, good night, sir.
Right.
And I turned to the canine officer. I says, hey, send the dog on him. And the canine officer said, are you kidding me? Do you know what this dog costs?
Yeah, he's not fodder.
And evidently more than me. Okay. But yeah, to include the drive over there, which that's where I really thought I was going to die. And those tense moments. Now, I look back at it with the old eyes, and I say to myself, that probably lasted all of 7 minutes from the time we arrived to the time he ultimately threw the gun down. Oh, by the way, he had expended all his ammo. We didn't know that, but right. He was out. It was all of 7 minutes, but oh my God, it seems so much longer than that.
Yeah.
I'm over there. I got the bead on the shotgun on this guy's chest, and I'm ready. The safety's off. The decision was made. Hey, if that gun comes up beyond what I perceive to be 20 degrees,
yeah, good
night, Irene.
Of course.
And thankfully, he saw the benefit to surrendering, and we didn't have tasers back then. We didn't have the tools that the kids have on their belts today. So it was a win or lose situation. Thankfully, we won.
Yeah, absolutely. And did everybody have a shotgun out, or was there pistols involved? And
mostly it was pistols. We were 9s back then. Mostly it was pistols. I think one other officer had a shotgun beside me, but I felt as the primary shotgun officer. The other guy was way off to the right, because just in case, you don't know if this guy's alone.
Yeah.
I felt as the primary shotgun or the big gun on the scene, I felt it was kind of my call. I'm going to decide when that trigger gets pulled. Here I am, 23 years old. That's a hell of a decision to make.
That is the decision that you hear about before you're a cop. Shoot or don't shoot. Would you pull the trigger? When's the right time to pull the trigger?
And there is no answer to that.
Right.
Because that situation, maybe him raising the shotgun that much was the right answer. But in another situation, I mean, you got to look at his body language. You got to look at his face. There's so much that they just don't teach you in the academy that you learn just dealing with people.
Right.
Like you can kind of tell when a guy's going to run. You can kind of tell when a guy's going to fight just by the way they blink. And the civilians who think they know our job way better than us, they don't get that. They don't get that we've been in that situation so many times that we have, I don't want to say a sixth sense, it's not magic, but we have a sense to it.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen on the news around here when they haven't done it in a while, but they'll put the reporter in like for munitions. I'm like, I've seen one where they put like this. He was like an activist minister. Yes,
and he disbanded the police and all this and everything else, and they put him in there. And wow, he woke up quick, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I know the one you're talking about. And it's funny because they're like he just starts walking up to the car with his gun out, pointing at the operator, and like, "Whoa, you haven't even asked for his license or registration yet." He goes, "Well, you could hurt me." Well, yeah, we know that. That's you gotta stay cool until it's time not to be cool. And he and you could tell when they interviewed him after, his mind was like blown. It was like, wow, that felt. And he just didn't want to get hit with a little pellet, like a little piece of soap detergent.
I like the instance when he confronts the two men fighting in the parking lot, and one of the gentlemen is just this big, hulking, massive person, and like it happens all the time. You come up on a fight, two guys are fighting, but you show up. Now you're the bad guy. Right. And this big hulking guy turns on him and just starts with the what? And he just whipped out his gun and put two in the guy's chest. And index. Okay, why did you shoot him? He's unarmed. Well, he what? He yelled at you.
Right.
Oh. I see.
Yeah.
It's okay for you? Yeah, I got you.
Fear shooting. Yeah. And you and I touched base on that a little bit before we started recording, but that's kind of part of the problem with the modern policing now. When you're choosing candidates, they kind of have to be able to do everything. A tough guy is not good enough. You can't just be tough. You got to be a psychologist. You got to do this, that, the other thing. A lot of times you can get a person who's softer, who's not never been in a fight, or physical violence truly scares them.
Right.
And, sometimes it's fine. They learn on the job and it works out. Sometimes they shoot people because they square up.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they want to fist fight them and they shoot them like that guy did. That's kind of part of the struggle with the dynamics. I mean, what a dynamic job that when you start just pays nothing. You know what I mean? What they expect they want you to have a college degree. They want you to be able to do psychology and this and de-escalate every single situation and never shoot and shoot the gun out of their hand. All this crazy stuff. It's so funny. They're the department you work for. I've been taught by a few times instructors from there, and I'll never forget this guy. It's so great. You probably know who I'm talking about, but this guy had more baton time on anybody in that part of Massachusetts. And he goes, guys, the chief wouldn't give you this thing unless he wanted you to whack people. And like the point he was making was, it's okay to use your tools when it's time. He said, someone takes a fighting stance. You're allowed to have the upper hand. You can take that baton. Now it's time. You don't need to fist fight them. You can use your tools. Because guys in these drills, recruits, are trying to tackle people and wrestle and do it, and it's like, no, don't be afraid to use the tools they gave you. So he was, he was a very well respected and was not a.
Oh, I know exactly who you're speaking of.
Yeah, not a Brutus in any way, but famous, and not a big guy either, but famous for being an ass kicker and knowing when to kick ass. And isn't that the tough part, you know?
It's funny because if I can ask, when did you go to the academy with him?
Geez, I don't remember if that was an in-service or if that was, but it would have been like early 2000, like 2007, 2008. Sure.
I went to the academy. I started the academy in 89. I graduated in 90, and he was my instructor.
No kidding.
Yes.
That's awesome.
He was very young. Yeah, it was like his first class that he taught. Yeah.
No kidding. Well, even back then they knew. I mean, we heard lore of him.
Oh, he was amazing. He just retired. He's amazing. Amazing.
How many years did he do?
33? I think 33.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, so I always have fond memories of that where it's like, because now especially going on the job, I am seeing people with just a year or less or a few years on the job are especially in more rural areas when you're not getting a lot of hands-on time with people, the learning curve is even larger because they're afraid to do it. Like they're not because they're personally afraid, but they're afraid of what will happen to them.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
You know, so it's like it's having this weird psychological effect on police officers, the whole national, the narrative that's happening, you know, and it's tricky. I can only imagine. I mean, like they say, if you do something a lot, you get good at it. So the city PDs they do this stuff a lot, and they're not, and especially Massachusetts, or the cities in Mass fare pretty well when it comes to use of forces. We've not really made national news with, you know, and I'm jinxing us. Do you have to go to work tonight?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, Mass is pretty damn good. That's what makes it so aggravating when they start to be like, well, we really need to get on this political train and, you know, start making some changes. Like, well, hey, we've done a pretty good job. We're doing pretty good here, you know? Which says a lot for the training that goes on in Mass and academies. But Norman, I've derailed us completely.
No, that's fine. I love to talk, man.
But good. So, yeah, but I love that instructor. I wish him well. God bless him. I hope he enjoys his retirement. I hope it's long, and I hope he gets every single dime owed to him out of the retirement system. He was, in my eyes, he was a great man, and I feel privileged to got to hang with him for the few times I did.
I do agree with you.
All right, so Norman.
Yeah.
Can you describe the strangest or most bizarre thing you dealt with on the job?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one. We're going back to the mid 90s at this point. I went to go back up another officer, and he had a rook with him. And so I was just there to be nosy. We're cops. We're nosy. So the complaint was this woman was complaining that this other woman was threatening to kill her. So I get there, I'm standing in the background, and we're letting the rookie ask questions. And, you know, he determines that this woman was receiving threats from this other woman who lives in the far other end of the city. It's okay. And, you know, Steve, when you and I know you've been doing the job, so you know sometimes when a guy or a girl starts talking to you, and the hairs on the back of your neck just stand up, so you know her elevator may not all the way go up to the top floor.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to be, you know, disparaging here, but this woman gave off that vibe.
That's our clientele.
So the officer's asking her all the right questions, you know, and it's just, well, how is she going to kill you from way over there? What kind of car does she drive so we can be on a lookout for that car? He says, well, she doesn't drive. I said, well, how's she gonna get here to kill you if, you know, she doesn't drive? Oh, she doesn't have to come here. She's a witch.
Oh boy.
And at that point, the rookie turns and looks at his senior officer, who looks back at the rookie and shrugs. And the rookie looks at me, and I went, I got this. Ma'am, you are so lucky. I am the last living Ojibwa shaman in existence, and I can help you. I took my notebook out. I had been reading a book on Norse mythology, so I drew some Norse runes on the paper, and I had recently taken a class in a drug interdiction class, so I did a drug fold on the paper, and I handed it to her, and I said, this is an Ojibwa shaman charm, and so long as you have it in your possession, no witch can ever hurt you. Now, don't unfold it. Don't take it outside and, oh my goodness, never get it wet. And you'll be fine. And she said, I'm going to put it in my Bible. And I went, that's perfect. And we left, and her incessant calls stopped. And wow. I know what you're thinking. Nope, the witch didn't get her. Her incessant calls stopped, but she did send a written letter to the chief wishing to thank the officers that saved her from the witch.
Wow. And did the chief ask you to explain the situation?
Oh, no, that the chief we had at that time was the kind of guy that if it's not a bad thing, he didn't. Good. It's good. Yeah. Put it in the good file. We're good. There's no need to dig deeper than that.
That's awesome.
And I don't want to know.
I might use that. Is that a real tribe, or did you make that up?
Ojibwa is a tribe. They're from the Michigan area. They're part of the Iroquois Nation.
Wow. So I'm getting here that you're a reader.
I am.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm a nerd. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I play Dungeons and Dragons every week. I belong to a group that does Dungeons and Dragons for kids up at the school. I like it because it teaches the kids math and, teamwork, and it makes them read.
Yeah, I can get down with the nerd stuff. Did you read The Wheel of Time?
Actually, my wife bought me the series for Christmas. I've just started it.
Oh, man. So good. Rand al'Thor, baby. I read that. I read that through college, and my buddies were like, you are such a dork. I'm like, I don't care. This is so... Mm-hmm. My dad, like I said, huge Midnight Cop my whole life. Big reader. Loves fantasy stuff, loves, Star Wars, and any of that genre. And he gave me the book one of The Wheel of Time, and I remember my roommate moved out that year, and I was alone in the room, and I was trying to lose weight and be healthy, and I just started reading this book, and man, it's one of those books that just got me into that nerd culture. It's so good. Like, I never read a series, and so people understand, The Wheel of Time now is a series that they're doing on Amazon Prime or whatever. It's nothing like the books, but the series is okay. But the books are like 500 to 1,000 pages each, and there's like 12 or 13 of them. So like, it's the history of this world, is just this history of this world. And when you read it, it's like these people. It's like they're your friends in your mind almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn, I love that series. I'm so happy to hear you started it. So you're on book one?
Yeah, I'm on book one. I'm still working on a couple of my own projects, so that kind of eats into my time. One of them is a fantasy novel. So
no, really?
Yes.
You're kidding me. Is it going to be full on wizards and castles, or is it something different?
Down the middle of the road someplace.
Really?
It's a very ambitious project. I'm hoping it's going to be a 5-book series.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, geez, when you got that baby ready to go, we got to plug that too.
Absolutely.
I want to be one of the first people to read it, if that's not being too presumptuous.
No, not at all.
That sounds awesome.
I'll send you a link to the the unedited. Forgive the unedited, but I'll send you a link to the unedited version. I'll email it to you.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's so cool, Norman. Wow. So you're a multifaceted guy. Police lieutenant, nerd extravagant or extraordinaire.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your most intense or terrifying call you've had?
Yeah. intense and terrifying are two different calls, and I hope you don't mind me bouncing back and forth over here.
No.
The terrifying one is short. I got called to a domestic, and those are always a mess.
Sure.
And this was a Latino couple. Now, that shouldn't come into play, but it kind of does, because the reason the woman was angry at the man was because he had been messing around with a blonde white girl, and that really set her off. Now, she's standing in the kitchen with a Jason Voorhees knife, if you get my meaning.
Yes.
And I'm standing in between them, which is dumb.
Yeah.
But and she's moving forward, not at a great pace, but she's moving forward, and I've drawn down on her at this point. She's got a big ass knife.
Oh my gosh.
And I says, I was scared. I says, hey, please don't make me shoot you.
Oh yeah.
Please. And she said to me with all the seriousness in the world, I'm going to cut his balls off. And if I got to cut yours off to get to him, I'm going to.
Oh no.
I was, I'm going to shoot this woman. Thankfully, I was able to wait her out, and nobody got castrated, and she went to jail. But that was I thought somebody was dying that night, and I really kind of hoped it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But
did he try to talk you into staying with him for the night? The man, stay here.
No. He got out of Dodge. I believe he went to the next town over to stay with friends.
Yeah, smart.
Because back then there wasn't the 6-hour hold that they have now. Back then you could make bail immediately.
So if she got bail, then here she comes.
Yeah, and I'm sure she would have too. She was intense. She was serious.
Yeah.
But one of the other calls, like I said, you just talk about just that moment where you're like, oh my God, it's on me.
Yeah.
We're at this apartment building, and the apartment building is almost exclusively for the elderly. However, they do have some people in there with problems, developmental problems, or in some cases, addicts that have just gone so far down that they're not truly functional anymore. Maybe a person with a high-end autism or something like that. So we get to this call. The roommate is calling from the bedroom, and he thinks that his arm is broken, that his roommate has broken his arm. So we don't know exactly, but we get there. I can't get anybody to come to the door. I have the fire department come down and open the door. They open the door, and the roommate, the bad guy in this particular instance, has got a table pushed up to the end of the hallway. He's standing behind the table with a 2x4 in his hand. And he says, if you come in here, I'm going to hurt you. And I believed him. And I'm looking around. I've got two rookies with me. One of them is a beanpole, and the other one looks like he could play safety for Penn State. It's like, all right, we need a plan. I says, shit. It's my job to come up with one, isn't it? All right, here's the plan. So I'm going to pepper spray him. You turn into the football player. I says, you're going to run in there. You're going to upend the table, make it like a wall in between us. And then we're all going to push it up against the wall and trap him behind the table.
I like it.
We'll work it from there. And I says to the kid, I says, you're going to come in last, and you're going to have your baton out just in case. It's okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3, spray the guy. The spray starts to take effect. The rookie goes rushing in there, and in his excitement, he flips the table like a playing card. So now the surface of the table's on the floor. The 4 legs are sticking up. The rookie is overbalanced and leaning forward, and the guy has got the 2x4 up in the air. And I'm standing there, and 20 plus years of being a wrestling fan finally paid off. I hit him with a chair.
You're kidding me.
No.
Wow. Folding
What
chair?
else did I have? Well, no, it was a dining room chair, but
okay. Close enough.
that takes away from the effect.
Right.
Yeah. I hit him with a chair. And
Wow.
that knocked the 2x4 out of his hand, kind of knocked him stupid for a second, and we were able to muckle him. But
No kidding.
yeah. But that moment in the hallway was like, somebody come up with, oh, it's me.
Yeah.
All right, here's the plan.
There is a beauty to being junior man at some points when you go to calls like that. You're just like, I just got a job. Someone's going to give me a job and I'm going to do it. I don't have to orchestrate nothing.
Yeah. That's, I was a senior patrolman, but, I made up my mind that day. If I ever made sergeant, if any of my guys found themselves in a spot like that, I was going to be there, I as a patrol supervisor, I walk by my guys all the time at calls and I say, I'm checking on you. I'm not checking on you. I'm just checking on you.
Yeah.
You understand the difference?
That's nice. That's good. I like that. And you said that it was, you got promoted kind of later in your career. You were a career patrolman for the longest time, and then sergeant, lieutenant, bam, all of a sudden you're in the brass. I mean, that's...
I finally figured that test out, man.
That's great, though. I mean, because you're definitely... We've all seen it, the person who forgets where they came from. They, maybe promoted earlier or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like they never worked patrol, and they have no sympathy or anything.
Well, being the old guy, and I've been the old guy for a long time, I enjoy very much those young officers who come in and start to talk like that, because I remember them as rookies, and it's like, hey, kid.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. With all the respect you're due, do you remember this call?
That's great.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna walk away now, right? That's cool.
Yeah, a little. It's good to have a little bit of a check,
Yeah.
That's awesome. So as an LT, there is it like are you pretty much like it's like you're probably like the commander of the station, right? Or over. Well,
I'm actually because of some circumstances, I'm actually commander of 2 stations right now on midnights. But at the same time, they don't staff us with enough people, so I'm also the street guy too.
Oh, really? I mean, how many sergeants are on when you're on?
If I'm lucky, I got one with me at my station, and then one at the other station. But most nights I'm alone at my station, and my satellite station has got 1 sergeant.
Wow. Yeah, that's so you still get your hand in it then.
Oh yeah, when I made lieutenant at first I turned to my wife and I says, it's sad. I think I caught my last bad guy. And that's a thing, man. You think about that.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to get back to patrol, and yeah, I haven't caught my last bad guy.
That's great. I have friends that sharp guys, just sharp and good at what they do, and took the tests and promoted early, young. And I'm talking like my age, a little bit, maybe a couple years older, a couple years younger, lieutenants and up. And it's like they were, especially like deputy chiefs, captains. It's done. You're not like you're like not a cop now. You wear a badge and a gun. You're a cop, but you're going to meetings. You're going to neighborhood watch stuff. You're doing budget stuff. You're overseeing specialties, and it's like you said, like you're not going to handcuff anybody. I mean, the chances of that happening are, I mean, you might be getting your coffee at Dunkin' Donuts and a fight breaks out. Maybe then maybe you'll cuff somebody, but it's pretty much over.
Yeah.
But you're 40. It's like, wow, you got a long time ahead of you.
Yeah. But no, I still get out there with my boys and girls. I have that habit. I have female officers as well. And I explain to them when they come work for me, look, I'm going to say boys. It's just going to come out of my mouth. I mean,
That's
you
fine.
too. Just
right.
And, I mean, obviously, if a woman that gets into this job, she's not going to be the sensitive type that's going to take offense to that. She's ready to be part of the team, and that's that.
Almost every female cop I've run into here and when the short stint when I worked as a civilian for LAPD backgrounds, they get it. And most of them would find that endearing. They, you know what I mean? That's you taking them in. It's totally fine.
Absolutely.
All that crap is like so overblown, but it's when you get into the world of police, it truly is familial. It's like
100%.
The joking, the everybody just kind of gets it, and you can pretty much let it rip. I mean, I'm sure you don't because you're an LT, but I mean, the guys in the road working the shifts, like you can pretty much say whatever, and a lot of times the women are worse than the guys. When they
I've known a couple of them,
yeah, when they start going, so it's not even a thing. So I totally get it. Norman, can you tell us about a positive, or dare I say, heartwarming situation?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do they have those in that city?
Oh yeah, we get them. I got a couple. Long and storied career. When I was in detectives, I had this elderly woman, and her piece of crap nephew had broken into her house, stolen a antique Tiffany lamp, and pawned it for drugs.
Oh, nice guy.
And I put the case together. I caught him. More importantly, I got her lamp back for her. And bless you. And she was so grateful. She took my hand in her hands, and she told me she was going to pray for me every night. And I just,
that's sweet.
That felt great. It's like, I love getting people their stuff back.
Yeah.
And I used to work a detail at the bus terminal. Basically, you're walking around keeping the peace,
Sure.
And there was this group of guys, and they had a developmental disability. I don't want to go ahead and say they were autistic because I'm not a doctor. I can't say what they were.
You don't want to diagnose them, right?
You know where I'm speaking, right? So they were definitely younger mentally than they were physically, and very enthusiastic and childlike in their demeanor.
Gotcha. And
we were all wrestling fans. So they would come up to me and they would talk wrestling with me. And, there used to be a wrestler called the Big Boss Man who dressed like a cop. And his tagline was, "You better be good or you'll be doing hard time." So when the boys would get on their bus and they were getting away, I would say that, and they would actually look forward to me saying that to them. If I didn't say it, they'd pause and wait for it. And I just really loved interacting with those kids,
That's awesome.
That was some good stuff.
That's really great. And probably meant a lot to them. They probably talked about that their whole lives. Still do, probably.
I hope so. I really do. It's like somebody out there doesn't think the cops are the bad guys. That's I've done my job.
Absolutely. That's great, man. I love that. All right, LT. This is a big question that is popular on the show, and you're the perfect guy to give it with your years under your belt. Advice to new police officers or candidates thinking about. I get a lot of emails of people. They somehow want me to express to them through writing what it's like. And I go, listen, I got the podcast. Listen to these guys talk. And they're like, yeah, but do you think it's for me? What from your experience, what's some good advice for, because you've seen as a senior patrolman, sergeant, and lieutenant, you've seen the newbies come in. What's some advice for them?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is it's you got to learn this job kind of like your father taught you to swim. Get in there. Don't be afraid to step up and go to a call and say to the senior guy, "How can I help you?" Because that senior guy is going to be more than happy for you to take something off his plate.
Sure.
Get involved. if you go a shift and nothing happened, you failed, dude. You know, you should have been able to help somebody. You know, if it was a traffic stop, you just watched their back. But at the same time, you watched how they moved. You watched how they acted. They watched what they said. You learned something. Get involved. I know, you know, my city. If you win a shift and you did nothing, you worked at it.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sure you have those guys.
Oh yeah. Not my team, but they exist.
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing that I used to teach at the academy, I was a firearms instructor, and you know, firearms comes towards the end of the academy, and we're always asked to say something. And I never wanted to be that stoic guy. You know, I wanted to smile.
Sure.
So I always say to a soon to graduate officer, I says, I have, and you are about to have, the single greatest job in the world. Because on a nightly basis, the world gets together and conspires to make you laugh. Because I can't think of any other reason these idiots do what they do except to give me a good giggle. And I finished it off with, remember to laugh at it. Because if you don't, you're going to cry. So remember to laugh. Whenever I sign my book, I always sign it, you know, to Steve, remember to laugh. Norm.
That's great. I love that. That's so true. I mean, that's and that's just links to like staying positive, you know, like keep that should be your outlook. You should be looking to laugh rather than looking to cry.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Find the humor in it, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. All right, Norman, let's tell us about your book. Because when I read, I was reading about your book. That's too meta for you. And it sounds like it's a lot like the podcast, this podcast, like the way it's written
structured.
up. Yeah. Structured, and the way your publisher talks about it is like, oh wow, this is awesome. This is like 30 plus years of, you know, witty and funny and probably tragic and hilarious cop stories. So well, you've done the job. You know, you go home and you talk to your friends, you talk to your family that aren't on the job, and they'll look at you and they'll tell, I know someone said it to you. You should write a book, man. I know someone said it. I know. I just did. I just started putting stories together, and when I had enough, I sent it out to a publisher. That's exactly it. Those are cop stories, man. That's the stuff we talk about at court while we're waiting to go home. Right.
You know, while we're waiting for the lawyers to settle it without us, and we go home. That's our cop stories, man. And you're right. There's some sad stuff in there, you know, because the job's not all fun and games.
Right.
But of the 50 stories, I'd say 47 of them are giggly.
That's great. So you would say if people like the podcast, they're probably going to like your book then.
I would say, yeah, it's the same. It comes down the same line. Absolutely.
The same vein.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. That's great. Where can we get a copy of that?
Oh, all over the place. Only .com. So sorry, it's not on any shelves any place, but you can go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart.com, Target.com. I'm getting tired of saying it .com. You can go directly through the publisher. Just Google it, and there are 10,000. 10,000, bit of an exaggeration. There's 100 online bookstores that carry it. I think it's even on eBay now.
Dang,
like somebody bought a lot. Yeah,
truly is everywhere. So let me ask you a question I'll ask this question for other law enforcement officers out there who, like you said, had the idea to write a book, and I think they should, because doesn't matter where you work, you're gonna have original content because you lived it, and you can't make this stuff up. It's nuts. How do you go about getting a publisher? How do you?
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast, dude. You got to go online. You got to find them, and you got to see they have a certain criteria for what they want you to send, and every one of them's different. One of them wants the whole manuscript. One of them wants the first 10 pages. One of them, you get yourself what they call a query letter, which is when you talk about your work, you talk about yourself, and that's kind of the front page of every request you send to every publisher. If you want, you go to Amazon, and they have a direct publishing section in Amazon, and you can publish it yourself. You put the cover together, you put everything together, and you publish it yourself. And through Kindle Direct Publishing, I think is the way to do it. And you're done. It's out there. It won't be in as many places as if you went through a house, but it's a.
You got to really hustle.
Yeah, you gotta find a way. And you know as well as I do, I'm a cop. I did something good. Nobody wants to talk to me about that. If I go outside and smack somebody in the head, 9 reporters are going to be at my house.
Right, get all the publicity you want.
Right. But I send this book out to the newspapers. I send it out to the local radio stations, and man, crickets.
Yeah, that's the way it is. I just thought it was so cool because the link you sent me had a publisher, and a lot of guys probably and girls feel like that, and they end up publishing on their own. But it's nice to have the kind of oomph behind a book, to have a publisher on board with you. You know, they have kind of do a nice little write up on their webpage for you, and it gives you some legitimacy. You know, I think it's very cool. I don't know if you ever heard of the series You on. It's about a serial killer. It's on
yes. We watched the first season.
All right, Caroline Kepnes is the creator. I'm friends with her.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I had her on. I had an old podcast 10 years ago when podcasts were first happening. I had her on about her book, You. She wrote this book, and she's from Barnstable. I was from Down Cape, so from the same area, and we had mutual friends, and she came to the house, and man, she wrote for Conan, and she had a whole bunch. She wrote for these teen girl magazines forever, but I just remember her talking about getting in with a publisher. You know what I mean? It's like now, of course, she's when I was in California, she got that deal, and it was like, well, Caroline, we'll never be able to talk to Caroline again because now she's got this deal with, or she was shopping around to HBO and Netflix and whoever. I think Netflix picked it up, but she really hit the jackpot there, but she struggled like any other author at the beginning. You know, because it's like to them, you're just whatever. So you really got to, I think, advice to the authors that are police officers, because I've read, people will send me stuff, you know, and I have a stack of books I have from cops, and some good, some okay, and you should be either really good at writing or have somebody look over it that's really good at writing. Because if you're going to self-publish, you got to have somebody looking at it. Because
you also have to be very, very careful because you've been writing reports your whole life,
right?
And a story is not a report.
Just the facts, man.
You know, yeah. You know, you don't want to describe one of your characters as Caucasian male, 5'7". You know,
right?
It's different. You have to learn a different language,
right?
And you have to learn the art of what I like to call shameless self-promotion.
Yes.
You carry that book with you everywhere, and every person that you see, hey, look what I did.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
If you're going to write a book and put yourself up there, it's just one more step to give it or to talk about it.
Yep.
That's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
When you get out there. So,
maybe send a few emails to podcasts,
Yeah, exactly. Well, Norman Duchesneau, Lieutenant Norman Duchesneau, It was a pleasure to have you on this show, sir.
I enjoyed myself immensely, and I will happily come back. I've got God knows how many more stories.
All right. I love it. That's perfect because I love a guy that's a well of content for the show. It's perfect. And we'll keep in touch, especially about the Wheel of Time. See how you find it. And hey, say hello to my brothers over there that I went to police academy with.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to see AJ tonight.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Those guys were awesome. And having them in academy was, it's a bigger city, so there was a bunch of them at a time. And, every one of them was a great dude. So I'm glad to hear they're thriving and doing well. And, man, you need anything from the show at all, please reach out. I'm going to do a quick outro here. I'm going to put you in the green room, and then just hang on the line. I'll chat with you afterwards.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, great. Hey, guys, that was episode number 92. Awesome. Great stories. So grateful that Norman could come on. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for checking the show out. Like I always say, if you want to be a guest, go to thingspolicec.com. You can scroll down, click on Be a Guest. I don't mind if you even volunteer somebody else. Sometimes you might have an uncle or your dad or somebody who thinks, what's a podcast? What is this technology thing? That's dumb. I don't like it. Submit for them. Make them listen to the podcast and tell them they're going on. That's what you got to do. That scenario has actually gone down before, and it went well. They were happy to talk about it. Cops, when they retire, are great. They're great to come on because they don't care anymore. Retired guys will always contact me afterwards and go, hey, you mind bleeping some names that I said? Not at all. No problem. I'll never put anything out there that you're not comfortable with. So, guys, thingspolicec.com. Scroll down, click on Be a Guest. If you love the show, if you can't live without it, you want it to go on, you can also donate there. Anything is appreciated and not necessary, though. You don't need to do that. The point of the show is to get these men and women's stories out there, to let you guys hear them and just see just how crazy this job is that these folks are doing and how much chaos there would be without them. So, guys, thank you once again for joining us, and I will catch you next time.